Silk Press and Convos.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our first edition of Silk Press and Convos. Now, this is something we're trying out, so you all will let us know if this is something that you want us to continue to do. But what we're going to do is do our traditional basic silk press as we feature a guest, and you get to know about them, what they do, and then how their services complement what we do here at Anointed Hands. So on our first edition, we are doing where beauty meets healthcare, okay? So come with us as we do our silk press and have a conversation with Miss Jasmyne Walker.
Hello.
Okay, so as I mentioned, this is Miss Jasmyne Walker. She is a nurse practitioner. And Miss Jasmyne, could you tell us all about how you first got into doing nurse practitioner work and how you were interested in it?
Of course. So I have actually always known I wanted to go into nursing or the medical field since I was in elementary school, to be honest. But I liked the patient care aspect and being hands-on with patients and not just the prescription and, just kind of placing the orders. I actually liked being on that one-on-one care. So I knew nursing was for me. So I've been a nurse since 2011. Mm-hmm. And then a couple of years ago, I went back and got my master's to become a nurse practitioner. Mm-hmm. And so not only do I still get to take care of patients, still get that hands-on interaction, but I get a little bit more of a role in helping people take care of themselves. And the best part is that I get to see kids and I see adults as well. So all ages, and just kind of helping people get healthy.
Beautiful. So for you, it's very important to nurture and cultivate their healthcare process, and you need to be able to see them through
exactly
to a healthy place.
Yes,
that is very, very beautiful. Very, very beautiful. Well, we're going to talk about how healthcare and beauty both collide.
Yeah,
a lot of times from behind the chair, we get to see firsthand what your body is telling us about what's going on inside internally. Because what usually happens is God made our bodies to be very, very smart.
Yep.
And what happens is, in order to preserve your major organs, usually the surface issues take a hit first. So you may see your hair breaking,
right?
Or you may see some things with your scalp, your nails, or your skin, and you might think it's the stylist, you might think it's the new product, you might think it's everything else. But we want to talk to the whole woman. So we are actually making some changes to help women prioritize self-care. And since we've seen certain things from behind the chair, we thought it would be very beneficial to have some discussions around some of these things.
Yeah.
And we are starting to advocate for self-care. Now, there's a difference. Can I say there's self-care and selfishness? So we're not promoting selfishness, but what we are promoting is taking care of yourself so that you can take care of those who you love.
Exactly.
Okay. We see many times that women are pouring from an empty cup and they feel guilty for taking that time to take care of themselves and renew and restore.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be that way. So we want to encourage the women that are watching to take that time to make sure that they are caring for themselves, because once you're gone, you're gone.
Yeah.
And so a few things that I've been noticing as we've been doing here over the years is that a lot of women are pushing past their limits. And so we've seen these health issues. So that's what we're going to discuss today. But also with this Silk Pressing Conversation podcast, we're also going to let you know or see the process of what we do every day here at Anointed Hands. So what we tend to do when you come in is we walk you through every part of the process. We've already shampooed Miss Jasmyne with a deep hydration shampoo and conditioner. And now what you saw us use just now was the Rev Air tool that will gently pull that hair out with some diffused air. It sucks that hair and dries it at the same time. And now we just use a little argan oil on her. We always use heat protectant spray. Okay, so we're doing that now. We're going to go in there and make sure we have her protected before we use the blow dryer. So, okay, Miss Jasmyne, as we move into some of the healthcare concerns that we've seen and some of the popular topics that we're hearing about in the world today, we're going to discuss a few things. But the first thing is this major issue of Ozempic and Monjaro. Am I saying that right?
Monjaro, yeah.
Say it right for me.
Monjaro
And Ozempic. course, we know there are people who are taking it for diabetes,
Mhm.
but now there are people, of course, we know that's trending that they're taking it for weight
Weight
loss.
loss, yeah.
But what we're seeing now, Jasmine, is a lot of people are experiencing hair loss connected to some of those medications.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that a little bit more?
And so, yeah, you're right. It's interesting. It's being associated with the medication, but honestly, it's the drastic weight loss that tends to be that kind of trigger for that hair loss that we're seeing. Okay. So you'll even see it with some people that have had like bariatric surgeries.
Yeah.
And you're like, man, they'll tell you up front before you even have those procedures, you need to start taking your supplement, because you're probably going to be anticipating some hair loss. And it's just because that's a big stressor on your body. So it's not necessarily the medication per se, but it's the fact that you are having this quick, rapid weight loss. And your body is like, what's happening right now? And so hair loss is typically a symptom that comes with that.
So is the rapid weight loss, does it contribute to you not taking in as much nutrients as your body needs?
That is a part of it. Cause especially with those medications, you tend to eat a lot less, which of course is why you lose weight, because of how it works in the gut. And so a lot of times we're not getting the nutrients that we need in our diet, or we're just not getting enough of it. You maybe have a pretty good balanced diet, but because you're only able to consume so much, you're not able to keep up with the fact that your body has gone through this major stressor of weight loss in a short amount of time. And so the hair loss is usually a byproduct of that, or it can be if you are experiencing that. So if you bring up a good point, it's a couple of things that you have to rule out. So which is why it's so important when we're talking about, self-care. A lot of people don't think going to the doctor is self-care. A lot of people want to avoid going to the doctor. But it's very important for you to have a primary care provider, a PCP, so that way you can figure out the root cause of what's going on. Because you may see your hair issues or you may see nail damage, but you really need to figure out what's the root cause. Is it my medicine? Is it some nutrients that I'm missing? And a lot of times that can be done with just basic lab work.
Okay. And then that also brings up another thought, because now people are able to, this may not even be the right term, but people are able to get those medications on the black market, so to speak.
Yeah.
So I really want to speak to that, because the desperation to losing weight, it's not bad to want to lose weight, of course, but it's causing people to take measures into their own hands. So that's another reason why I wanted to bring that up on this platform, because while you're wanting to, have this option as a fast way to lose weight, there are some risks.
Yeah, there's always risks.
Yeah. And so wanting to talk about that, like, you might get small, but I'm not trying to be funny, but you might be bald-headed when you get. Not trying to be funny, but
it's true. There's always risk versus benefits whenever you're talking about any type of medication or anything that you're injecting into your body, whether it's orally or, like you said, or the injection. So it's very important to know exactly what it is, who you're getting it from, is it approved or not? And then the benefits versus risk. So that way you can, because if it is worth the benefit, especially if you are someone who has a family history of, let's say, heart disease, diabetes, and your labs may be okay, or you may not be, super obese, but you want to try to prevent from getting to that place, then the benefits very well may outweigh the risk. But it's important to just kind of know what you need to be watching out for. Like you said, if hair loss is a possibility, okay, what can you do while you're taking this medication? What things do you need to supplement, or what things do you need to start checking regularly, so that way you can know that you're not at risk for some of these side effects that we're seeing people experience.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. So that's some good information. So y'all will know, just kind of know what you're signing up for.
Yeah.
Okay. Rabbit ear. So these are some things to think about, because when you do come to the salon, even if it's not on the hands, wherever you may be going to get your hair done, we want you to be empowered with knowledge to know, like, as soon as you see hair fall, it may not be your stylist. It may not be the new product that you've used. Assess everything. And then also assess internally, because our body, again, tells us some things that we don't know is going on a superficial level. So then that brings me to my next topic, because we've seen a lot. Of course, the world has taken a huge hit with COVID since 2020. And we are seeing post-COVID alopecia. Is that something that's showing up in the clinics when you're working?
Yes. And what typically happens with that is it's kind of the same system as when you hear people say like, oh, or if you're asking, I know you've asked me before, if based on how my hair is looking, if I've been stressing or, something going on. A lot of time that is called an autoimmune response. And so COVID or any other type of autoimmune issue that people can be dealing with, hair loss is definitely a huge symptom or side effect from that. And you never know when it's going to show up. That's the tricky part. And so sometimes it's hard pinpointing it back to, oh, I've had COVID. And then all of a sudden I've been noticing this happen. We have to go through, is it some other medications that you've been taking or have you been stressing? So again, it's kind of, sometimes it's a delay putting those pieces together, but it is definitely a prevalent thing that we've been seeing and hearing about across the country because of that immune response. Your body just kind of starts attacking itself. And so the hair can suffer as a result from that.
That makes sense. So you're saying it could show up 3 months after you have COVID?
Yeah, or you just don't really, you can't, sometimes it's hard to pinpoint. It's not, oh, you got diagnosed with COVID, especially because there were so many different strains. And so everybody responds to viruses differently. So sometimes it's hard to pinpoint that was the trigger. But in any regard, it's still that body's response of attacking itself. Just like people that struggle with, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, all of those different things, those kind of autoimmune disorders, where you're tired all the time, you haven't necessarily done anything, or your hair is thinning. You can't figure out why your body is just under attack, unfortunately.
That's good that you brought that up. That actually wasn't on our agenda, but that's another topic that I see a lot of autoimmune issues and how it's connected to alopecia. Can you explain, like, in detail for those of us who are not in the medical field, what's going on inside of the body when we're talking about autoimmune, and how is that connected to alopecia? Like what causes the hair breakage or the hair falling in connection to autoimmune?
So there's a couple of different ways. One of them is if your body is under attack. So you have certain cells and different things going on in your body where basically your body is kind of thinking of itself as like there's an invasion going on when it should not be responding that way. So it's trying to protect yourself, but it's kind of going into like this overdrive or hyperdrive.
But what's causing it to feel like it's an invasion? The actual sickness itself, or where's the invasion coming in? According to the body, how the body.
Well, that's the thing. So sometimes we have labs that we're able to check and see, like, oh, you have this this certain factor in your blood that lets us know that you may have an autoimmune disease. So the antibodies and things that typically protect us, the things that are naturally occurring in your body, sometimes they think of them as an intruder, like type of cell. And so there's not really a specific rhyme or reason
to wiring. Basically.
Yeah. And so just like sometimes autoimmune diseases can present like later on in life. It's not something that you'll be predisposed to all the time. You may have a significant family history of it. So which is super important. If I have somebody coming into clinic and they're like, man, I'm tired all the time. I'm having joint pain. I don't know why. And they're like in their 30s, shouldn't really have they don't work like a heavy labor intensive job where they should be hurting all the time, things like that. One of the quick questions that I'll ask is, do you have a family history of any autoimmune diseases? And so I'm asking, do you have a grandma that's diagnosed with lupus or rheumatoid arthritis or something like that? So that way I can know, I automatically want to do some labs on you to see if, that could be a culprit. Because some people are just used to living with these symptoms of like, oh, my hair just kind of changes back and forth all the time, or I'm just tired. That's just how it is. Or I'm just, my knees and my elbows hurt all the time. But they think that's just how it is.
Yeah.
But we're able to dig a little bit deeper into that to see if there is, an indication for like, oh, your body is literally attacking itself. Like, let's see what we can do to get to the bottom of that. Thyroid issues. So if you have, same thing, if you have family history of thyroid disorders, those things drastically affect hair. Like I can tell if I need to draw labs on somebody to see if their thyroid medication is off because they're complaining about their hair thinning over the last 3 months.
Okay. Is that over or underactive or either?
Both of them. So yeah, if I'm hearing any complaints of hair loss or being more tired, things like that, I definitely want to see if we're if we're hypothyroid. But there may be some medication adjustments needed either way for if we're giving you too much. That's a thing as well. If you've got a history. So yeah, your body's immune system definitely plays a factor into how your hair can be looking when you're, as far as hydration, is it not enough moisture, or is it falling out? Is it too brittle? Because of some type of stress response.
Okay. That makes sense. And then all of that is extreme inflammation too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, and that's the biggest thing that we see is like the inflammation is the culprit.
Yeah.
To a lot of falling hair for what we see.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you for bringing that up. So next on our list is let's talk about vitamin deficiencies and how that connects to loss of hair, brittle hair, all of the above.
Yes.
What have you seen in the medical industry in connection to that?
So definitely, probably the biggest thing that plays a huge part in actually seeing a deficiency and being able to test for it and or rule it out, your B vitamins. So a lot of people are familiar with vitamin B12, B12 shots and things like that. They do play a huge part in energy and just metabolism and things like that. But there are other B vitamins that people may be missing or just not getting enough of in their diet that can play a part in hair health as well. And biotin itself, biotin is a B vitamin, and so we hear about that for hair, skin, and nails. Sometimes.
Okay, wait, sorry to interrupt. So you said biotin is a B vitamin?
Mm-hmm.
Had no clue.
Yeah, it actually is, because and we know some of them by just their individual names, but yeah, it's grouped in there. Into the B vitamins. And so it plays a huge part in just protecting our skin layer, protecting it from that excess inflammation that we see, metabolizing. And a lot of people don't get enough B vitamins if they are on some of these medications that we were talking about earlier because of how it works in the gut. So Ozempic, Monjaro, or if you have had bariatric surgery, a lot of times you have to continue to take those supplements because you're not able to absorb them correctly in the gut anymore. And so those are just kind of some easy things. Vitamin C not only just helps with protecting us from illness or shortening the duration of an illness, but all of that tackles, inflammation overall and just kind of like the body's natural response to a stressor.
Okay, that makes sense. And then you mentioned something else like good gut, like gut health.
Yep.
So how does that connect? Like, and we'll talk a little bit later down a report I have read on me, like those pre and probiotics and things like that when you're off in your gut. How can that create more issues with your hair and nails and skin?
Just your overall, your body being inflamed. Like we talk about inflammation kind of being the root of what we're seeing and what we're dealing with. The same thing with gut health. I mean, if you're not having regular bowel movements, or if you're always constipated, or you're having diarrhea when you eat certain stuff, those are kind of signals sometimes that you might need to look into if there are certain types of foods that are causing inflammation. Okay. And so then if you're not getting the appropriate nutrients because you're either eating the wrong types of foods or you're not eating enough of the right types of foods, then you're not able to absorb those nutrients that can affect your hair health.
Oh, that makes sense. So while we're on the topic of being deficient in vitamins, I actually, Jasmine, back in December, overdid vitamin D.
Yes.
And I don't know if you all noticed, like, on the videos, I know Kia's family, they have been looking out. They was like, is Miss Roshonda's hair getting shorter?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it is. And I'm sure y'all noticed as well. Like we don't cut unless the hair is broken. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, it's very important to retain as much length as possible.
Yeah.
But I'm sure y'all noticed that Bob getting shorter and shorter. And so I was concerned. And this is where we're coming in and we're talking about noticing what your body is doing.
Yeah.
Noticing the changes that need to take place. Based on what your hair and your skin and, everything is telling you.
Yeah.
So what I had started noticing was I am shedding tremendously. And
Yeah.
initially I thought that it was a product that I use because I try to use everything on me first before launching things to you all. So I can be a casualty. So I can be bald headed so y'all won't have to be. Okay. So I had tried this new hair color about 1.5 years ago and it was extremely harsh. And so I had to do a lot of cutting that out as it, it was growing. And so initially I thought, oh, okay, well, it's just that hair color. But then it got to the point where I was like, this is excessive shedding. Something is wrong. So when December came around, of course, holiday season and all the flus and things that are going on, I could feel my body trying to get sick. And so I started taking vitamin D3. Well, I always take it every day, but I started revving up on it so that my body could fight back, which is good, right, Jasmine? But I overdid it. I overdid it. Y'all be careful with that vitamin D. So let me tell you, I started experiencing extreme memory loss.
Yeah.
My face was numb. I had heart palpitations. Like, I was like, Lord, am I stroking out? Like, I couldn't remember basic things. And so I was like, Lord, what is going on? And I thank God that the Holy Ghost showed me what to do. He said vitamin D. And so I call it a miracle because I wouldn't have even known to look into that.
Yeah.
And all of those symptoms were right there. And so in researching that is the reason why my hair was falling and all these other things that I did not want to be experiencing, it showed me that a way to alleviate it. Because if it would have been long term, Jasmine, we leading to dementia.
Yeah,
we're leading to kidney stones, right?
Yeah, just from too much.
Yeah, nerve damage, right? And that's another thing for long term overuse of vitamin D. And so one of the answers that they gave was that you need to do an IV infusion to flush that out the system. So did that and thank the Lord all was well. However, this is another example of either having too much of something or not having enough of something in your system and how your hair can tell you what's going on. So you all be careful because especially with those supplements, things are so easily accessible. You could really literally kill yourself with something that you could just walk into the natural grocery store and purchase. So make sure you're educated as to what you're putting in your body. Don't go to TikTok and just because the lady on TikTok told you to take this supplement.
It is always best to get just some advisement from your primary care. Check in with the healthcare professional. If you have any questions, everybody's system is not the same. I may be taking medications that you are not taking, that can interact with certain supplements as well. So it's super important, like Shonda said, just to be cautious of taking too much of something, as well as maybe not having enough of something when it comes to your skin and your hair health.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's why we're having this platform. So you can listen to your body, listen to your hair, listen to all of it. So the next thing we have on our list is we're talking about stress and hair loss. Let's talk about that.
Because I'm a living witness. I've come to Shonda many a times for my routine, either getting ready to get my hair straightened or whatever. And just like, she can always ask me like, what's been going on? So it is stress, unfortunately, is not a respective person. So again, your body takes that as an attack. So what happens when we're stressing, and a lot of times there's stuff that you can't control, but that response is there's an increase in what's called cortisol levels. And that increase in cortisol, affects your hair. It can affect, people having issues losing weight because those levels are so high. And so you'll start seeing that stress induced hair loss, because again, your body is like under attack. And so it's just doing what it knows how to do to try to protect itself. But, it's causing these inflammation responses. And so sometimes you have to control the things that you can control. So that way, again, you're looking at self-care, trying to protect yourself, protect, your hair from having to be a casualty of these high cortisol levels and stressors that you're dealing with.
Absolutely. And we're anointed hands, so we're going to bring it back to the word too. So the Lord did not create our bodies to worry.
Yeah.
He created us to cast our cares on him because he cares for us. And so in saying that, like a lot of times we're carrying things that we are not designed to carry.
Yep.
And in all of these things that we're bringing up, like a lot of it, the response is God saying, hey, are you trusting me? Are you trusting me with this? And so that inflammation it's there for a reason. It's an indicator. It's a tool to say, okay, let me evaluate, especially in this category of stress.
Yes.
Prayer, spending time with the Lord. There's times where things can feel excruciatingly stressful that I've went and just sat and said, Lord, sometimes we don't have the word. And it's just, Lord, help me. And have seen God just immediately take that stress and that burden off, so also encouraging you all to, that is a part of self-care. Take it to the Lord because he created yourself. Yes. So that is very important. Do have a testimonial of, someone that we know who, went through a very stressful time in her life. And I mean, stress, inflammation, the way it shows up in the hair and the scalp, a lot of times you don't know it's happening. And so what can happen is underneath that skin, that scalp, you are inflamed and won't know what's going on until all of a sudden you'll look and they're like bald spots, like patches, and it can happen overnight. So that's what happened to this young lady. She just, one day she had hair and the next day, it was some issues there. And that is the stress response to the inflammation underneath the scalp. Another way that it shows up is dermatitis. So a lot of times we think dandruff, especially in our community, oh, dandruff is just a part of it. This is, I usually just have dry scalp. No, dandruff is a spinoff of the inflammation underneath the skin. So once that inflammation happens, then the secondary component of it is on the surface, you'll see the dermatitis or the extreme, flaking. So your body is telling you something. It tells us all something. And we actually just saw that young lady today. And this was only a couple of weeks ago. And she's already, because she listened to her body. And she decided to balance out things where she was taking on too much. And she ended up coming today, and we saw that hair is coming back just that fast. See how God made our bodies? He's like, please, y'all just trust me. Y'all just trust me. So that's very, very important. Inflammation seems to be the word of the day, right?
Yes.
That's connected to cancers and all kind of things, right?
Yes, it affects so much. And thankfully, like you said, the Lord has provided ways for us to get answers to get to the root cause of what is causing the inflammation, because again, every person is different. Everybody's gut biome is different. I may be able to tolerate certain foods, but Shonda can't. So it's important to get some answers so that way you can know what to do next.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Okay, well, this is good stuff. I think this is a good starting point for us to all be able to listen to our bodies and make the steps that are needed so that we can be here as long as we can, as long as God would allow for us to be here with our families. And I mean, while we're here, we might as well have a quality of life, right? Instead of just being here struggling with our health, especially for things that can be avoided. And if our bodies are telling us that, then we definitely need to take heed. So this brings us to a few new things that we're getting ready to offer at the salon. Our platform has always been about making sure that, women that they feel self-care from the component of being able to come into our environment and relax. When people come, they really do enjoy the environment. It's not stressful. It's not catty. It's not it's not any gossip. We have the gospel music playing and people feel a relief there. So that's the first component. But the Lord is actually giving us to open up our offerings to some other areas in the healthcare component. Well, the health beauty component. And Miss Jasmine will be coming on board with Anointed Hands. All glory to God.
Yes.
So we've got 2 new services that we are about to offer. And one is going to be the IV infusion.
Yeah.
And then the second is going to be a sensitivity testing. We've partnered with a lab. So we have our very own lab that will test your hair to see what type of sensitivities you have in the body, which we'll get into that a little bit later. But in the meantime, we're going to have Miss Jasmyne talk about her offerings in terms of what we're going to have here at Anointed Hands with the IV therapy.
Yes, ma'am.
And then talk about how some of these things can connect to some of the health issues that we discussed today.
Yes. So we are just going to be, starting off with a couple of different options that are targeted. So our focus is making sure that your hair, your skin, overall, that the health of it is good. Like, yes, you can come in, sign up to get your flat irons, your silk presses, but we want to make sure that every time you come back that we are seeing that length retention, that we are seeing the overall quality of your hair, thriving. And so one of our specific infusion options is going to be focusing on that. It's going to be a cocktail specifically, giving you those nutrients that play a part in, keeping the beauty of your hair and your skin where we want it. And then there'll also be just a hydration option. A lot of us do not drink enough water throughout the day. And that is one of the easiest ways to start showing issues in your skin, especially in the winter months. That extra dandruff that we were talking about, dryness, the inflammation. If you do not keep your body hydrated, that's just, you're looking for breakage, and cracking. And so that's going to be another option that you can just come in and just say, I just need a little bit extra hydration, no added nutrients there. And then our third option is going to be tackling the inflammation that we've been talking about. So again, putting those nutrients back into our body to kind of help give us a little bit extra protection to fight against the craziness that you deal with from a day to day. And sometimes we just don't absorb the things that we need to, either in our diet or we're not consistent with our vitamins and our supplements. And so this is going to be an offering just to kind of help give you a little extra boost to make sure that you're getting everything that you need to help fight against the inflammation that causes the hair breakage, gut issues and things like that you can be experiencing.
Absolutely. Now, so Jasmyne, I know people probably have questions because a lot of people are, let's go through the process of what the IV situation is. And then also, they're going to be like, is this medicine? Is this what's going into my body?
Okay. So good questions. So how to work is you will have basically what we call like an intake form. So that way I can review if you are even a candidate for, an IV infusion service, and things that we're going to be looking out for, like what medications are you currently taking? Do you have a history of some heart issues? Anything that I may see as being like a contraindication for you receiving these fluid services. But if you are a candidate, and there's no issue with you, having, extra fluids on board, then, we'll get you scheduled. You'll come in, we'll get you an IV started. So if you see, if you've ever been in the hospital or if you've ever had lab drawn, it's kind of a similar process where we'll find a vein in your arm, get your IV started, and then depending on what service you choose, whether you're getting the cocktail that will have some B vitamins in there. So we'll have like B complex. We talked about that a little bit. There'll be, you might have some vitamin C added into it, some magnesium. It just kind of depends on what service you choose, but all of them are well-known vitamins, no additional prescription medication, into those cocktails. I will give you the full information on what each, separate vitamin does and what the goal of it is for. So that way you can, have those questions answered and make sure, you know exactly what's being infused into that IV bag. But once that gets mixed into the normal saline bag, which is the fluids, then you will be connected, to the IV. And then it usually just runs for, it depends on, the IV, but typically 30, 45 minutes, an hour would be kind of the max depending on what service you select. But after that point, I'll be the one monitoring you, taking your vitals, making sure everything is doing okay. And then we'll remove your IV and then you'll be good to go. And we'll have your information on file like the first time. So that way, if there aren't any changes to your medical history, you don't have to continue to fill out like the same paperwork over and over as you make your appointments.
Beautiful. So typically, how often should one want to come in for IV infusion treatments?
Got you. So if it's just hydration only with no added supplements, hey, you could do that a few times a week, kind of just depending on if you were really needing some extra support. But typically, the vitamins that we're infusing, you notice the effects of them for about 2 weeks. So every couple of weeks would be reasonable. Some people may say once a month is good enough, just for depending on what each particular person is looking for.
Okay. So I work out a lot. So if they're sweating a lot, is that a scenario where they need to do more to replenish? Any scenarios where they would need more visits?
To do more? Kind of depends on the person, but yes. So if you're super active and you know that you are not hydrating well, you would probably be that person where you're like, okay, I am staying super active. I'm in the gym. I'm sweating. I'm trying to drink my water, but I need a little extra support. You definitely would be one where we would probably want to see you more often, than not.
Okay. So is there any scenarios where you're like, that's too much hydration?
So so your body will tell you again. So how we've been kind of saying, listen to your body. If all of a sudden you're noticing you're swelling, your ankles are swelling or your hands are swelling, things like that, those would be signs that would give me pause to say, hey, what's going on? We may need to back off of this. Because even though it's going straight into your vascular system versus just drinking a bottle of water, again, there is a such thing as too much.
Yeah.
So we would always want to be cautious of that if you're showing symptoms of receiving too much hydration.
Which is why it's so important that we have a nurse practitioner to monitor and see before they come in.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. So now, is this something that's expensive for most people? Like, can this fit? And I mean, I know every household is different.
Exactly. So it is reasonable. But it's going to depend on the person, of course. So if you're someone who is basically who we're looking at, somebody that is trying to do better about self-care, about taking care of their body, from the inside out, you can set a goal for yourself. You know what? I'm going to do this once a month or once every 6 weeks, just to make sure that I'm getting the nutrients that I know I need, I know I'm deficient in, or just to kind of help me maintain the hard work that I've already been doing on, my hair care or my nail care. So it just kind of depends. You may not, but then you may be that person that's like, you know what? I want to do this once a week because I am trying to hit my goals of staying fit, staying active, and making sure I am keeping my body hydrated. So it just kind of depends on what your goals are. But we have something for every person, for every household. And so it's just kind of figuring out what option would be best for you. And we'll have packages and different deals and things that will be available too.
Absolutely. Okay. So we touched on some of the hydration. How are these services going to be beneficial to hair? Meaning, like, there are a few ingredients that we were excited to be able to put into the beauty cocktail.
Yes.
Talk about a little few of those.
Yeah. So one of them for sure is the biotin. So we talked about that and how that is so helpful and beneficial for hair growth, protecting your skin, protecting your nails, and just the process of how we stop it from breaking, basically. So biotin is going to be one of the ingredients in the hair, our kind of beauty cocktail that we're talking about. Let's see, I mentioned vitamin C, also known as ascorbic acid. So that's another one that's going to help with decreasing inflammation, helping our immune response to, again, help with that retention for length and the density, all of that we're talking about with our hair, and skin as well. What else?
The glutathione. Am I saying
the
right?
glutathione. Yes. So the glutathione, that is one that just plays a part in decreasing inflammation all throughout the body. So a lot of people may not even be familiar with that type of nutrient, but it's not only protecting from your hair, your skin. I mean, it is just a super huge resource for decreasing inflammation all throughout. So that's definitely one that will be added. And how that works is that one will actually be a separate IV injection after your infusion is finished. But it still goes through the vein. But then the other option that we'll have is actual vitamin B12 injections. So you may be a person that you don't necessarily need extra hydration, but you would like a little bit of an extra boost to help with, just feeling a little bit run down. We will also be offering separate vitamin B12 injections as well.
Beautiful. So we've got some very exciting things to make sure that you ladies are staying healthy, staying on top of what's going on. And the beauty about this, you all, is not just that you can come in and do the IV infusion, but working with a nurse practitioner, she's able to kind of see some things where she's like, hey, you might need to go see someone.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it all, because we want to make sure that we are, as women, making sure that our bodies are, as much as we can, being healthy and being who we need to be. So we have another service that we're about to offer, which I mentioned earlier, which is the sensitivity test. And we have a lab that we're working with. And also Ms. Jasmine is going to be in on this process as well. So what it is it's going to be coupled with a consultation. Later, we're going to look at being able to offer it remotely for those who are not in the state.
Mm-hmm.
But initially, we're going to do a consultation. So you'll come in, the girls will analyze your scalp, analyze the strength of your hair, some of the surface issues. But then also what we're going to do is we're going to take 5 sample strands. Now, we're not trying to take them good strands. We're just going to take just a little bit so that we can mail it off to our lab. The results will take about 2 weeks to get back to you. And you all, I told you we do stuff for us first before we offer it to the public. So, myself and one of the other stylists, we did the test initially, and you will be surprised at how thorough this report is. It's an 80-page report, and I'm going to show you here in just a moment. An 80-page report that tells me all of my specific sensitivities, not just food sensitivities, but it also talks about vitamin deficiencies. It talks about environmental sensitivities. So if you are one that's like, I think I'm allergic to this, that, or the other, this is definitely going to be a cheaper way to be able to test and see what some of your allergies are. And you don't have to get all them shots in your back to figure out what's going on and be uncomfortable. It was spot on. So to let you know, I'm in the process of, trying to get to my goal weight. And I was a little stagnant and I didn't understand why the weight was not moving. And so my trainer and myself, we were just kind of looking at some things and we both were like, well, maybe it's the dairy. And in my mind, I was thinking, well, you think about lactose intolerance, you think about bloating in your stomach or problems in the restroom. Right. But I didn't have any of that. So I did not think my body didn't like milk. And I didn't want to believe that anyway. I like milk, milk products. And so anyway, we kind of had a thought that would be an allergy. You all, I got my results back. No dairy at all. Yeah. I can't have any dairy. I can't have milk chocolate. There are certain things on there that I was like, oh, this makes sense. Yeah. So I have an allergy to apples of all things, all the apples. And that it also includes apple cider vinegar. And there's an exceptional product made here in Oklahoma. And she let me try her product. So I'm not knocking the products. The products work, right? But the main ingredient in it is apple cider vinegar. And also, go figure, in December when my hair was breaking, end of November, beginning of December, I tried the product line. And so I had a few things against me. And I did notice after using the product, I was like, my scalp is so sore. Wow. Very, very sore. So you all, this report will allow you to know what type of allergies are going on in your body. Yeah. And make the necessary changes. So what's going to happen is after you get your report back, you'll get it via email. Jasmine's going to contact you first, and then she's going to send you the email so she can walk you through your results. Okay. Yeah. And then if you have questions, you'll be able to ask our nurse practitioner there. And then from there also, you'll be able to see and get a plan because maybe there's something that the IV therapy will allow you to get. And so we're probably going to work on some type of hand-in-hand package. So if you got you got the sensitivity test and it may be cheaper for you to do the IV infusion to make it a package, something like that. But at least you'll have a nurse practitioner looking at your results and she can tell you like, okay, this doesn't look good. This, does or whatnot. And then furthermore, she can tell you like, okay, this is outside of Anointed Hands wheelhouse. So you need to, this is an indicator of something greater that you need to check on. So we are really pushing health, beauty, self-care. Remember, self-care and not selfishness.
Yes.
That's what we're pushing. Okay. I'm going to let you all see my actual report. But before I do, will y'all look at this silk press and Convos, y'all. That didn't take long. I mean, it would have probably been shorter, but we having this good conversation. But we wanted you to see the process of what we do every day here in the salon. And this is silk press on virgin hair. And Miss Jasmine has been so loyal. She's been coming to us since we were out in Spencer, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you. So Jasmine is family, y'all. So not only is she coming on board, but she's family.
Yes.
And so she's going to take really good care of you when you come in. Y'all, this is my sensitivity test. It is 80 pages, you all. Now you're going to get it via email. Okay. And I just, I put my little Bible in there. Because I want to go straight to my topic. So I'm going to show you my food allergies. And it is very easy to read.
Very easy.
It tells you red.
Color coded.
Yes. Red, orange, and green. So of course we know red is things you don't really want, right? But these are all the things that my body says no ma'am to. That's a lot of stuff.
We know.
So yeah, we got all the apples.
That's crazy.
Milk. I can't have lobster. That's on red. Anyway, that hurts my heart. So secondary is like almond flour. So it tells you everything that you need. But then at the end of the report, and these are different categories, they also tell you your stress level when she was talking about the
cortisol.
Yes. It tells you inflammation in your body.
Melatonin, if your sleep is not good. It really gives a lot of details to
This thing is good. I showed my trainer too. She was like, Rashonda, this is awesome. And then in the back, it gives you like a concordance. That's for the Bible language. You don't tell what I'm saying. That's the right word. An index. Sorry, y'all. It gives you an index because it even tells you like some of the additives that you put in your body, like that have numbers that you don't really know about. So it tells you what these numbers are connected to. This is good stuff, you all. You'll get your very own report back. So stay tuned. All of these new services will start. When we starting the services?
March 17th.
March 17th. So you all stay tuned. And then y'all let us know underneath the post if you like this podcast. I want to tell you, we have some technical issues. This is the first one. We didn't plug the mic into the second half of the actual publication. So excuse the sound on the first half. And this thing is like, you can see it following us. It's kind of jittery. So just excuse that and get this information. Okay.
Give the info.
And thank you for watching. So y'all if you like it, let us know. And if you do, we do have somebody professional that's going to tape the rest of them. But we just wanted to know first, put a teaser out there to see how you like this content and that we can bring education to you.
Exactly.
And just there's some great people around the city that we can do a silk pressing conversation with. Okay.
So let her know what topics y'all are interested in.
That's good. Okay. Yes. Let us know underneath the post. Let us know. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you at the salon. Bye-bye.
Bye.